It is a new version of a law that seems like a long time coming.
The Dan Yorke State of Mind program is brought to you at part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
Pleasure to have you aboard. We're going to spend the bulk of this program talking about the new LEOBOR version. It's probably an acronym that you've heard enough in the news to kind of know it's important, but acronyms don't generally stick. It's the Law Enforcement Officers Bill of Rights, which has been a long-standing document that I think was well intended at its onset to protect police from political prosecution and political discipline. But over the course of the years, it has kind of evolved into a space as policing has changed and society has changed and too many incidents have occurred across the country that have been tough on the image of law enforcement. It has been a source of consternation for people in the community who think that when you're disciplining a police officer, it should be more transparent than the current, well, I should say, the former version of the law allowed for. I never thought that it was a corrupt process in any way. I never thought that it was a conspiring process to protect police, but the setup itself was pretty insular. And that, creates a lot of problems. And to the credit of law enforcement management, for the most part, in this state, a few years ago, the Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association decided that, it's time to get on this horse and to make our own recommendations about the way this ought to go. And they were an integral part, maybe not on the specific details at the end, but on the concepts to broaden this process and to make chiefs a little bit more capable of being able to speak to issues that the public is concerned about. There are other nuances and details to the new version of this law that we'll talk about with the chief of the Bristol Police Department in just a moment. Why don't I just point to the headline first and show you that, yes, the governor has signed this LEOBOR reform bill into law. WPRI 12 reported on it.
It's a long time coming.
Representative Ray Hall has been pushing for change to the Law Enforcement Officer Bill of Rights for years, after being out on the streets as a police officer for decades and noticing a divide between law enforcement and the community.
The mistrust was there, and this should bring some of that trust back.
Under the new law, police chiefs will be allowed to release video evidence on an officer's misconduct and even talk about it publicly.
And they can't say, oh, well, the bill doesn't allow me to talk about an officer. Well, it does now. Speak on it. So if you've got a bad officer, it's a bad officer. If it's a good officer, it's a good officer. And it helps not just a good officer, but it gets rid of that bad officer.
However, there are some concerns, especially among police unions.
They lost some rights, but they kept their due process.
Still, local and state leaders, including the governor, are confident the changes will bring accountability and transparency to build the community's trust.
And to bring the community together with community, and that strengthens our communities. And I think this piece of legislation does that.
Representative Hull says they'll wait and see if any further changes need to be made.
Because I believe the document is living and breathing, that if it needs to be changed, it's not quite good enough, change it.
Well, that's the case. I mean, that's a no blank Sherlock. You know what I mean? That's the case with every piece of legislation that we ever pass. The immediate past president of the Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association and the current chief of the Bristol Police Department is Chief Kevin Lynch. Good to see you again.
Very good to see you.
Tanned and looking very summerish.
Thank you.
A lot of work on the beat out there.
A lot of work on the beat.
A little bit of beach time when you're off, deservedly so. I got to put on the makeup to look like you, and I don't even get close. You've been good to us in terms of both the television and the radio program over the course of the last couple of years, really digging into the weeds on this stuff. And you are the perfect guy, I think, to give us perspective, because I know you had a lot to do within your own organization of police chiefs to cultivate the brainstorming of what presentation that organization was making to the legislature. You were able to diplomatic fashion, share time here on the set with the young man, Harrison Tuttle from Black Lives Matter PAC, and have a reasonable conversation about what were apparent disagreements and how to go. So you've been a terrific resource, and I thank you for that. So I think it's a perfect time to have you come back and say, hey, what do you think? I do want to get into a discussion of what was and what is, and we'll do that momentarily. But in totality, as I welcome you to the set, what do you think?
You know, at first I'd like to thank you because, you know, your daily talk show certainly brought up the many issues that we see that have been codified now in legislation. And the fact that you had me and Harrison Tuttle in the same room to discuss the very issues and the differences, you know, on the Bill of Rights, old legislation versus new legislation. It led to a follow-up breakfast. Harrison Tuttle and I exchange telephone calls routinely. I have a great deal of respect and admiration for his advocacy on changes to this new law, which you commonly everyone refers to as LEOBOR. Our new...
It ought to be the sequel, right?
Our
Leo
new
or the
title
sequel, or
is,
two. What,
you know, Law Enforcement Officers Due Process, Accountability, and Transparency Act. So
are we going to get a new acronym for that?
We do. We have a new title to the legislation. So LEOBOR is really a thing of the past. And
well, you know how it's going to be, Chief. It's like Twin Rivers.
Yes.
I mean,
it's Rhode Island.
It's still Lincoln Park, for crying out loud. So it's gone through 4 changes. Well, the day we get through get rid of LEOBOR will be a day that will.
It is true.
I hope we're still around.
The legislation does provide due process for police officers.
Sure.
It applies accountability for the general public, which they want from police. You know, 21st century policing and all of the reforms that we've had, and it also gives that transparency that many people have asked for. That acronym that everybody either likes or dislikes in government. It's overplayed or underplayed. And there's always legislation about transparency that goes on in the General Assembly. This gives it.
There was a growing feeling that whenever an officer was disciplined, it was done behind closed doors, right? And of course, doors are closed when hearings go on and that kind of thing on a logistics basis. But the concept and the feeling was that it was kind of a star chamber type of thing, right? With police chiefs judging police chiefs, with police personnel judging police personnel. And I want to talk about how it was and how it is right now. But in general, it seems to me that the Police Chiefs Association got it early on. A few years back, now there's been complaints for decades, ever since I got here about this thing. But with some of the high-profile cases of what was clear police brutality, the infinitesimal minority of police behavior, but dominating the news cycles. I think you folks decided that something had to be done. And I do think that police chiefs felt somewhat limited because not only was the process somewhat secluded, you didn't get to say much. So if you have an officer that does something, God forbid, in the town of Bristol that ain't good, formally, you more or less are pretty... a guy like you is pretty conversant and loves to communicate with the community.
I've been told this, yes.
I would think that you would be pretty frustrated over that, right?
We all did, as a group, as police chiefs. One of the things that we really wanted to see in the change in the legislation was to be able to explain to the public, we have heard the initial complaint, we've seen the issue, whether it was a video, a body-worn camera, or a resident complaint, and we understand, and we are initiating an investigation. But at the same time, sometimes when they're polarizing events, we want to afford that same type of information to the general public, to the people that are out into the community, to the news group, to the media, that we understand that there's been a complaint lodged against the police officer and what initial actions the individual police department is going to be taking. We have assigned this to an internal affairs investigator. They are looking at this with open eyes, and we will get back to the public with
but there's sometimes there are
information.
things that are like so, and again, they're the rarest of rare. I still have confidence in law enforcement that it is the rarest of rare, but sometimes their egregious behavior is self-evident in this new day of video and the like, and you got to be able to empathize. You got to be able to.
Absolutely.
You got to be able to rather than not offer opinion, you got to be able to say, I see what you see. I'm not happy about it. It makes me concerned or sick to my stomach, depending on the spectrum of the offense. And believe me, we're on it. That kind of sentiment really wasn't pliable in the former laws.
It was prohibited
Instruction.
under the
Right.
current legislation, and
Yeah.
now it is no longer prohibited. We are able to make those public disclosures to reinsure that the police department has got the information, and we're acting on it.
Okay, good. When we come back, that's just one of the aspects. When we get to some of the nitty-gritty specific differences between what was and what is now. Stay with us.
Everybody has to give up something. But in the end, when you give up something, you get a lot, and we get a lot with this legislation.
Speaker of the House, Joe Shekarchi, who I gave a very hard time to this time last year for not completing this deal, for not bringing this across the finish line. There were arguments and details that I thought were solvable by locking people in a room, throwing a few pizzas and maybe a case of beer in there and get the thing done. And he just couldn't bring it across the finish line on the House side. To his credit, he made it a priority this session.
He did.
And he got it done. So let's talk about some of the specific things. Used to be that 3 police officers would be the investigators and kind of jury on a police officer's infraction, whether it be miscellaneous or something very serious. The defendant, if you will, the police officer charged with the problem would pick an officer in the hearing. The town or the city would choose theirs, and then they would debate the third. And those 3 officers would adjudicate the case. You had your own ideas about how you wanted to grow that thing from 3 to 5. We got a judge and a lawyer as the 4th and 5th now folks who are going to see it. And there's no more battling over who is going to be the police representative. They have to be assigned from a pool, correct?
That is correct.
It rings pretty close to what you were proposing.
It does.
Is it what you wanted?
It is. I am very, very pleased with the makeup of the 5-member panel. I have testified in both 2023 as the representative from the Rhode Island Police Chiefs in both House and Senate Judiciary. Again, this year I am the committee point person on legislation for the Police Chiefs Association. And to get back to the speaker, I just wanted to, he worked very hard. He must have listened to you last year at the end of the session. We worked immediately as soon as the session closed before this year's session. And he had us all in that room that you talk about working feverishly on, coming up with a plan that we all could work with. So a lot of credit goes to the speaker and a lot of folks, even the League of Cities and Towns, Mayor Lombardi, also signed on to this particular legislation where years ago, we all weren't aligned, labor, management, League of Cities and Towns, General Assembly folks. We finally got a piece of legislation that everybody agrees is workable.
So you like this panel?
I do like the panel, and I'll explain to you. You talked about the former legislation. The former legislation said the accused officer got to pick, the police chief got to pick. And then that person that stuck in the middle was called the neutral, or the chairperson. They either came from a union list or they came from a management list of police chiefs. And everybody came to the table. If you were the officer's pick, in essence, you carried his water. You listened to the officer and you were there to defend his particular actions. If you represented the police chief, you kind of listened and adhered to what the police administration. Everybody had the ability to make their own decision based on the evidence that was presented and based on the fair preponderance of the law. However, this new panel, this new design has it straight. The judge or retired judge will serve as the chairperson. They will be responsible for authoring the decision. The second person is a member of the Rhode Island Bar in good standing, but also in consultation with the court's Committee on Racial and Ethnic Fairness and the Rhode Island Bar on Diversity and Inclusion. So that is the second person that is assigned to the LEOBOR panel.
Meaning they got an orientation of what's going on the streets. That's kind of what that means, right? That
Correct.
The lawyer's got to be able to go, you know what, I get what's going on out in the streets, and I can apply legal due process to a reality out there. And then the police actually have to in fact, everybody's got to be trained now in certain concepts before they are qualified to be able to render decisions.
I've served as a chairperson on a Bill of Rights panel in the past, and I entered into that process and had to become self-educated. Now there is a minimum of a 6-hour course that's required and approved by the post, Police Officers Standard and Training. All of those members are appointed by the governor and confirmed by the Senate. Those folks will be responsible for working, we believe we're going to work with Roger Williams University to put together a training course. But the biggest thing in comparison to the panels is the 3 police officers can have no conflict of interest. They can't be from the charging law enforcement agency of the accused officer, and there's a conflict of interest. Can't be a brother-in-law, can't be a good old boy
Will
network.
you have a large pool?
Each police...
Are we paying the officers to do this?
We are not compensating an officer. However, if he is assigned to work that particular day and the chief assigns him to go work on the Bill of Rights panel, he will not have to report to his official duties that day.
Okay, so the administrations of each police department are required to staff this pool, correct? Gotcha.
So the way that we wrote the law was we wanted to make sure that the final say goes with the chief of police. The chief of police in all of our cities and towns and the state police, they will confer with their organized labor. They will speak about Officer A has great skills. He's a great investigator. He's a very impartial. He's a fair judge.
Per case or in general?
In general. Each police department will submit a name or 2 names to the post.
So it'll be staffed up this way?
It'll be staffed.
All right, we're going to move along a little quickly here. The other thing that I think is instrumental is what used to be a maximum 3-day suspension is now either 5 or 14, depending on the
severity of the infraction.
The kind of the
Correct.
infraction.
It went from 2 to 5 and then up to 14 days for something that we would think is a little bit more egregious. Nothing would prevent a police chief in this legislation from termination or demotion, but that is for particular status or rule or regulation violations.
Termination or demotion prior to a hearing?
No, recommendation.
Recommendation. You know. And the other thing that I think is part and parcel of this is its guarantee that the disciplinary process will come if it is accompanied by a criminal investigation after the criminal investigation. So the criminal investigation will precede, and then there may be judgment about, you may not have been busted, you may not have been convicted on something, but you know what, this is way out of policy, and we'll initiate our own discipline, and or it will supplement a criminal conviction of some kind, correct?
Yes, some of the loopholes that we found in the legislation was on a felony matter, right? The current law and the previous law all states that if an officer is convicted of a felony, they're not entitled to a hearing. They're off the force. What we saw was a couple of loopholes over the last few years where an officer took an Alfred plea or took a NOLO or went on probation. Those in our court standards are not convictions. That entitled a police officer to a hearing. This new legislation tightens up all of those nuances. So if you take an Alfred plea, you take a NOLO, you go on probation. For a felony, you're automatically off the force.
All right, so there are some smaller nuts and bolts on this whole thing that you can investigate. When we come back, I want to talk about how this is going to help or hurt recruiting of police officers. Stay with us. Important to note that the chief reminded me during the break that in addition to these changes in the LEOBOR law under now a new version and a new name, this transparency thing is solved by having a webpage posting all the cases, so people have a chance to go look them up if they're
Absolutely.
looking to do so. Now, if I'm a police officer having to have body cam on all the time now and really being under a very significant bright light, and these changes make it a little bit more easy for me to be disciplined, I might be feeling a little insecure. That's one. If I'm thinking about becoming a police officer, I might decide to turn the other way. I have long thought that if we could just make the public feel better about policing in general, we would have better candidates, because right now we are in a down cycle, are we not?
We are.
We only have a couple of minutes to talk about this. I think we can talk about it for days on end. How hard is it to get good officers new into the force right now?
We're working very hard. We're working with media. We are at colleges, universities. We are really looking for creative new solutions, and we're changing our model. I adopted a model very similar to Connecticut, where we're working with outside companies to get officers on a written examination, pre-exam completed, both the written exam and the physical agility tests, so that they have those certifications on hand and they're not testing individually at all 39 cities and towns. So that has helped us immensely, but we are having a difficult time attracting people to a difficult job.
Do you have jobs available in Bristol right now?
We do.
How many applicants for whatever openings?
We ended up, we started with about 18 applicants, and after the testing procedure, we were down to 1 applicant.
For how many posts?
4 positions.
Yikes. It wasn't like that, Chief, in the old days.
There was not.
It used to be a time when someone said, yeah, my kid wants to be a police officer, or at a bar, my kid wants to be a cop, and Dad was congratulated.
It was a time-honored profession.
And now it's like, what do they want to do that for?
I agree.
And that's wrong, because it just breaks my heart. It ought to break everybody's heart. So, short answer, if you would, you think this process is going to help?
I think it does. You know, it provides, like we said, accountability. It provides transparency that the public has asked for a very long time. One very important tenet, I know we're short on time, is that we also have established a national decertification. So if you're terminated from the Bristol Police Department and I send this decision to the Post, they will work at decertifying that police officer on a national level. So we no longer have to worry about a rogue officer from Rhode Island going down to Florida and then taking his certifications and saying, hey, I want to join the force. Very important tenet to this legislation. Sure. To add to that. But we feel as though that this provides the due process. There's been folks up there that don't think that police officers deserve due process. And, you know, it's a very complex job. We put officers in very challenging situations.
I think they deserve the public's benefit of the doubt, but they don't deserve to escape due process. And I think there's a difference there. But I'll tell you one thing that could heal a lot of what's going on right now is if folks just took a little bit of time to do with, many people do with the military, and that is to thank a police officer for doing their job. Because it's not getting any easier out there.
It is not.
No. Chief, great work on this, on transparency, and I appreciate your analysis throughout it all, and we'll stay in touch.
Yeah, I want to thank, certainly your talk show and keeping the conversation alive for us. And a lot of the work that went on up at the General Assembly, a lot of leaders, both pro and con, on this particular issue. As I said, the League, the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker worked very hard to get this across the finish line and deliver a quality product for our officers and our community.
Great stuff. Final word when we get back, Steve. It is likely next week we'll have the embattled but approved new Director of Communications. No, I'm sorry, Director of Corrections. See.